There was a time when everything seemed too far away. Bills were piling up, dreams seemed frozen, and opportunities just weren't coming. But now, something has changed. Not on the outside, not yet, but internally, inside you, something clicked. An invisible turning point. And that's exactly when everything starts to happen. Not by chance, nor by coincidence, but because your energy has finally reached what has long been ready to be delivered. The universe does not work in haste, but with precision. And when alignment happens, what seemed impossible manifests as if it had always been there. Life changes, and it changes silently, but irreversibly. Have you ever felt this? The feeling that something big is coming, even without being able to explain how? As if a tide is about to turn and you are right on the line where everything begins to flow? Well, that's it. That point has arrived. Abundance is approaching so naturally that it doesn't seem like an effort. What once required struggle now happens with ease. What was once fear has turned into certainty. You begin to notice that doors open without a sound. Invitations arrive without you having to impose yourself. And suddenly, you are where you always wanted to be, but without the burden of having forced your way in. This is not a story about miracles in the magical sense. It's about attunement. When you send out the right signal, the universe responds. It always has. The difference now is that you've finally learned not to block that signal with doubts, fear, or haste. And because of that, things that seem distant begin to come closer. Not just money, but what it represents: security, freedom, possibility. Bills are no longer a problem. Urgent matters no longer cause panic. Your field has changed, and with it, everything else begins to reorganize itself. You begin to experience being supported, not in the passive sense of waiting for something to happen, but in the certainty that what is yours will find its way, that you no longer need to hurt yourself to grow, nor sacrifice your peace to feel worthy. Prosperity ceases to be an abstract spiritual theme. It becomes practical. It enters your daily life. It is in your bills being paid on time, in investments that multiply, in a bank account that no longer scares you, in the pleasure of being able to give and receive, in the peace of mind of sleeping without fear of tomorrow. And all this happens without you having to convince anyone, because the true sign of abundance is not what you show, it is what you vibrate. It is an inner silence that attracts everything that previously seemed to flee. You begin to understand that it is no longer about asking desperately, but about affirming with awareness, about acting with lightness, about walking with conviction, about making room for the universe to put before you what was already prepared, just waiting for your vibrational permission to happen. And permission was given. Your energy said yes. Your heart opened up. Your thoughts stopped questioning everything. You no longer need to have all the answers. You just need to be available. And being available means trusting. Not blindly, but maturely. Trusting that everything that is compatible with what you feel is coming. That the money will come, yes. But along with it will come the right means, the right people, the right channels. Nothing out of order. Nothing improvised. This new time presents itself subtly. It is not a sudden burst. It is a constant sequence of things working out. A payment cleared. A partnership that emerges. A debt that is resolved. An opportunity you never would have predicted. And it builds up layer by layer until you look around and realize, my reality has changed. And it really has. Because the outside world is nothing more than a translation of what you put out there. And now you're putting out strength. Not the kind of strength that pushes, but the kind that attracts. The strength that doesn't need to shout to be heard. The strength that simply exists to transform everything around you. You no longer need to explain yourself, or justify yourself, or convince anyone. You just live. And by living truthfully, You manifest naturally. Money now flows through you like a well-channeled river. It does not escape. It does not disappear. It renews itself. You become a point of prosperity in the world, an open channel, an agent of circulation. What comes in flows. What goes out comes back multiplied. And this is reflected in every area, professional, emotional, spiritual. Because true abundance does not choose a sector. It fills everything. This transformation that is now beginning is irreversible. Because what has been expanded within you can no longer be shrunk. You no longer fit into your old reality. And everything that comes from now on will be compatible with this new version of yourself. People will notice. They will see the difference in your eyes, in your posture, in your serenity. You no longer need to talk about prosperity. You are the embodiment of it. And those who see you feel it. And those who feel it trust it. Glowing star comment. My financial reality is already changing. If this message resonated with you, speech balloon, like, share, and subscribe, because the rest of this journey will elevate you to an even higher level. Life begins to respond differently when you change the vibration you emit. And this response is visible, concrete, undeniable. You no longer feel like you have to fight for every little thing. Things just flow. The details fall into place. The right people find you. Opportunities arise at the right moments, as if marked by an invisible clock. The most curious thing is that, even without understanding all the mechanisms, you feel that you are being guided, not by an external force, but by something that pulses within you. Your intuition has become clearer. That voice you once ignored has now become your main guide. And every time you follow it, something good happens. Prosperity began to spread silently. Not like an explosion, but like a wave that gradually covers everything. First, you noticed more balance in your spending. Then you realized that your money started to last longer. Soon, small extra income began to appear. And without realizing it, you found yourself in a different rhythm, a rhythm of expansion. This growth is not chaotic. It has order, flow, and meaning. It respects your time, but also challenges you to move forward. It invites you to trust more, to plan with more courage, and to believe that your old limits no longer exist. What held you back before no longer has power. It has been overcome. It has been dissolved. You have become someone who vibrates stability. And this stability is perceived in your field. People feel good around you. They trust what you say. They feel safe just by your presence. Because you're not just talking about abundance, you are vibrating it. And vibrating abundance does not mean always talking about money. It means acting with awareness, with balance, with nobility. It means knowing how to say yes and knowing how to say no. It means giving when possible and also preserving when necessary. You have learned to respect the flow of life, and the flow has begun to respect you. Decisions that once left you paralyzed are now made with confidence. You know what you need to do. You feel when something is or isn't for you, and that clarity is directly reflected in your results. You no longer waste time on the wrong paths. You don't insist on what doesn't vibrate with your new frequency. This discernment has brought savings. Time, energy, money. You stop getting involved with proposals that seemed brilliant but were empty. You stop chasing promises that had no basis. Now you walk with purpose, with awareness, with focus. And as a result, everything around you reorganizes itself. You feel the environment lighter. You feel your home more harmonious. You feel your work flowing more smoothly. Even the most difficult people seem less impactful because your frequency has changed. And those who change their frequency change their reality. You have begun to experience another kind of freedom, one that does not depend on how much you have, but on how much you understand. Because now you understand that prosperity is not accumulation. It is flow. It is not ostentation. It is lightness. It's not about having more than others. It's about having everything you need to live in peace. This new way of living has also brought new behaviors. You started saving part of what you earn, investing consciously, planning with a long-term vision. And this has borne fruit. Fruit that is now beginning to appear. Unexpected income, above-average profits, professional recognition. All of this started happening naturally. And the more you receive, the more you feel able to share. But sharing without guilt, without obligation, without burden. You give because you want to, because you can, because you feel it. And every time you do, life responds with even more generosity. The cycle feeds itself. You no longer live at the mercy of the calendar. The end of the month is no longer a specter. The beginning of the week is no longer a source of stress. Everything flows in a healthy way. You work with pleasure. You produce with passion. You receive with gratitude. And this creates an environment of constant prosperity. The ideas that come up now are better, more refined, more profitable, because they come from a peaceful mind, a mind that is no longer preoccupied with urgencies, that is no longer stuck in survival mode. And a free mind creates with power. You also realize that you no longer have to do everything yourself. You have started to delegate, to trust, to allow others to collaborate. And, to your surprise, the results have improved. Because abundance also manifests itself in partnerships, exchanges, and alliances. And in this new cycle, you begin to see possibilities everywhere. You look at something simple and see a business opportunity. You listen to a conversation and gain valuable insight. You read a sentence and it guides you to a big decision. Life has begun to whisper the next steps to you, and you have learned to listen. You are living in a time of continuous expansion, a period in which every good choice opens a new door, where every conscious yes generates a new result, where every attitude aligned with your essence brings you even closer to your purpose. Money flows, but not just as a resource. It flows as a symbol, as a reflection of a consciousness that now understands the value of things, that is not attached to price, but to energy, that is not attracted only by numbers, but by meaning. Your life is now guided by different values. You choose where to focus your attention. You decide with whom to share your energy. You assess where it is worth investing your time. And that changes everything. Because when you respect your energy, the universe honors you with more. You have come to realize that the secret was never in running faster. It was always in stopping running after things. And it was at that moment, when you let go, that everything started to move. Because abundance does not respond to anxiety. It responds to surrender. And you surrendered. You surrendered to your process, to your path, to your truth. And that surrender generated results. Not by chance, but by consistency. Now, everything is falling into place. And, there's still more to come. And not just for you, because your change is already inspiring others. People who know you have started asking questions. They have started observing you more closely. They have started to reflect on their own choices. Because abundance is contagious. It cannot be kept to oneself. It spreads. You will be remembered as the one who turned the key. The one who, even in the midst of difficulties, chose to trust. Who, even without all the answers, kept walking. Who, even when hearing the voices of doubt, chose to listen to their intuition. Glowing star comment below. I am living abundance with wisdom and lightness. If this reflects your current moment. Speech balloons share this content with those who are also ready to change everything. Like the video and subscribe. The next part will reveal what many still cannot see. Something powerful happens when you stop defining yourself by the difficulties you have experienced. When you finally understand that scarcity is not a sentence, but only a temporary state, a reflection of old beliefs that no longer make sense. At that moment, You become someone new, someone capable of creating a totally different path. And that is exactly where true prosperity begins. It does not arrive shouting. It does not impose itself. It approaches subtly but firmly, bringing with it not only money, but freedom. Freedom of choice, of movement, of time. Freedom to no longer worry about tomorrow, and to finally breathe a sigh of relief, feeling that life is now on your side. You notice this change in the little things. A bill paid before the due date, an unexpected deposit in your account, an old customer returning, a shell business idea starting to work. Yes, where there was only silence before. And with each of these confirmations, something inside you grows stronger. The certainty that this is now real. Your mind stops functioning in survival mode. The fear that was once constant begins to fade. The repetitive thoughts that kept you stuck in "how am I going to make it?" are now replaced by a new question: what can I build with all this that is coming? Your focus has changed. Your internal state has changed. And with it, everything else follows. You now think like someone who deserves it. You act like someone who already has it. You vibrate like someone who already is. And because of that, the results are different. You don't attract what you want with words alone. You attract with frequency. And your frequency is now different. Higher, more open, more aligned. Money flows in smoothly. It comes in lightly. It stays stable. And it circulates wisely. Because you no longer see it as an end, but as a means, a channel, a tool. And in doing so, you remove the weight, the attachment, the fear, and allow it to move as it needs to, without resistance. Business flourishes. Ideas yield results. The right people show up. Proposals come naturally. And you begin to understand that this new reality is not a coincidence. It was built in silence, day after day, every time you chose to believe, even without proof. Every time you let go, instead of controlling. Every time you trusted, your name begins to be mentioned in places that once seemed distant. Your work gains visibility. Your presence stands out. And not because you try to draw attention, but because something in you has changed, and people feel it. They can't explain it, but they recognize it. They feel that you carry something different, something that exudes quiet strength, a steady presence, and the energy of growth. And you feel it too. You feel that everything that was difficult is now being rewarded. You feel that nothing was in vain. You feel that even the falls had a purpose. And more than that, you feel that now is your time, that the waiting is over, that the doors are open, all of them. Every opportunity that comes your way is loaded with meaning. Nothing is random. Nothing is empty. Every detail brings you closer to your next level. Whether it's a new idea, a strategic partner, an enlightening conversation, or a significant financial gain, everything works together. Everything adds up. And even when something doesn't go as expected, you don't fall apart. Because now you have a foundation. You have internal structure. You have vision. And you know that it's not the end. It's just a pause, a slight detour, an adjustment to the bigger plan. And that gives you peace. A peace that doesn't depend on external guarantees. A peace that comes from being aligned with the flow of life. You see your reserves growing, your income expanding, your standard of living improving. But what impresses you most is the feeling that, even with more, you remain light. You remain grateful. You remain open to growing even more. Because your relationship with money has changed, and that changes everything. You no longer feel guilty for prospering. You no longer feel strange about having more than before. You don't sabotage yourself. You don't diminish your results to please anyone. On the contrary, you understand that by living your abundance authentically, you inspire others to do the same. That inspiration begins to overflow. People approach you. They ask questions. They listen. They connect. Some just watch in silence. Others thank you without saying a word, and you understand that you are fulfilling a role, to be a reflection that it is possible, that there is a lighter, fairer, more prosperous reality. And the best part is realizing that this is just the beginning, that there is more, much more, because true prosperity has no end. It is continuous movement, constant growth, natural expansion, and you are prepared for it. You are ready to live a life that previously only existed in your imagination. You start planning boldly, thinking big, desiring without limits, not out of greed, but out of the awareness that you deserve it, that you can do it, that you are now able to experience everything the universe has always wanted to give you, but that only now you have allowed yourself to truly receive. You look back on your journey with respect. Every pain, every fall, every rejection, nothing was wasted. Everything had a role to play. And now, everything serves as a foundation for this new phase. You no longer carry the burdens of the past. You carry lessons, and those lessons have made you wise. This wisdom is your new wealth. It guides you, protects you, and directs you. It is present in every step you take. And because of this, you do not stumble. You do not repeat old mistakes. You move forward with clarity in the right direction. And the universe responds faster and faster. You're living in a season where everything falls into place. The right contracts come along, payments are released, returns multiply, results appear, and more than that, your life takes on new meaning. Because now you are not prospering just for yourself, but to expand, to elevate, to transform. Your presence begins to become a blessing to those around you. Your energy field activates good things around you. Your home vibrates differently. Your relationships grow stronger. Your decisions positively impact many lives. You become a channel. You become a source. And most importantly, you become an example, not of someone who got lucky, but of someone who understood the secret, who accessed the code, who tuned into the right frequency. And no one can take that away from you. Glowing star if these words resonate with you. Comment, abundance has arrived, and I am consciously maintaining it. Speech balloon like this content. Share it with those who need to hear it. And subscribe, because the next messages will further expand your journey to prosperity.